Something satisfying changed at Jamaica's airports this year, and most tourists have absolutely no idea. Right now, as you're hearing this, a traveler is standing in a security line at Sangster International Airport, wondering why their bag just got pulled aside. Someone else is watching customs officers destroy the care package they spent weeks putting together for family back on the island. And somewhere in that same terminal, a tourist who thought they understood Jamaica's famous cannabis culture is learning a devastating lesson about the difference between island rules and airport rules. The difference between those who breeze through Jamaica's airports and those who leave in handcuffs often comes down to 10 specific things that changed in ways nobody warned them about. Jamaica isn't playing games anymore. This island is in the middle of the most aggressive airport transformation in Caribbean history. We're talking about nearly $1 billion being poured into security systems, biometric technology, and enforcement protocols that have turned Sangster and Manley into something unrecognizable from just 2 years ago. And here's what makes this dangerous for the unprepared traveler. The rules that catch people aren't complicated. They're just different from what everyone assumes, different from what the internet told them, different from what their cousin who visited in 2019 experienced. These are the 10 things now banned or restricted at Jamaica's airports that continue to shock tourists who didn't get the memo. Miss even one of these, and your dream vacation transforms into a nightmare before you ever see a beach. Let's start with the one that fills jail cells every single month. Number 1. Cannabis at the airport. Yes, even in Jamaica. Here's the trap that keeps snapping shut on tourists who should know better. Jamaica decriminalized marijuana possession back in 2015. You can hold up to 2 ounces on the island and face nothing more than a $500 Jamaican fine, which converts to roughly $3 American. Dispensaries operate legally. Medical marijuana cards are available to tourists for as little as $10. There's literally a licensed cannabis retailer called Island Strains, located minutes from Sangster International Airport. Everything about Jamaica's relationship with ganja screams acceptance. And that's precisely why tourists keep making the catastrophic mistake of assuming those rules extend to the airport. They don't, not even close. The moment you attempt to carry cannabis through airport security or pack it in your luggage for departure, you've crossed from a petty offense into drug trafficking territory. And Jamaica does not play with trafficking charges. We're talking serious prison time. Not fines, not warnings, not a slap on the wrist and a stern talking to. Actual incarceration in a Jamaican prison. The Canadian government travel advisory states it plainly. Penalties for possession, use, or trafficking of illegal drugs are severe. Convicted offenders can expect lengthy prison sentences. Departing visitors are thoroughly screened for drug possession. Many Canadians are serving prison sentences for drug crimes, in some cases committed unwittingly. Read that last line again. Unwittingly. People who genuinely didn't understand the distinction between island possession laws and international travel regulations are sitting in prison cells right now. And here's what really twists the knife. Your medical marijuana card from California or Colorado or Canada means absolutely nothing at the airport. United States federal law still classifies marijuana as a Schedule I controlled substance. Airport security operates under federal jurisdiction. Your state-level permissions evaporate the moment you enter that terminal. The system actively encourages you to acquire and consume cannabis legally while visiting Jamaica. It sells you the product right there in the commercial zone near the airport. Then it destroys your life if you try to take any of it home. Buy it on the island. Enjoy it on the island. Leave every trace of it behind before you get anywhere near departure security. This is non-negotiable. If you're finding this information valuable, take a second to subscribe. We're building toward 10,000 subscribers, and every person who joins helps us create more content that keeps Caribbean travelers informed and out of trouble. Drop a comment telling us which Jamaica airport you typically fly through. Your input shapes what we cover next. Number 2. Meat and dairy products. Yes, even that care package from Grandma. The United Kingdom government travel advice states it with zero ambiguity. It is illegal to bring meat and dairy products into Jamaica, not restricted, not limited. Illegal. And the guidance continues by noting that customs officials may search your baggage and will destroy banned foodstuffs without compensation or appeal. This one devastates visitors from the United States, Canada, and the UK who travel with food for family or pack items to accommodate special diets. The instinct feels natural. You're visiting loved ones. You want to bring them something from home. That block of cheese your aunt loves, the bacon your cousin can't get on the island, fresh chicken for a family cookout, all of it gets confiscated and destroyed on the spot. Jamaica maintains disease-free status for livestock that protects the entire agricultural economy. Introducing contaminated imports could devastate local farming operations worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The island takes this seriously enough that the bureaucratic process for legally importing meat is designed to be impractical for casual travelers. The Ministry of Agriculture requires a meat inspection certificate from an approved government veterinary division. You need a stamp of approval on all carcasses. You need an import license obtained from the Ministry of Agriculture in Jamaica. And here's the detail that tells you everything. The Jamaica Tourist Board can assist with arranging this license if you provide 2 weeks advance notice, 2 weeks of government paperwork for your lunch meat. The system is telling you something. Don't bring meat or dairy at all. Exceptions exist in specific categories. Canned or jarred items in hermetically sealed containers generally pass through. Dried or processed foods are acceptable. Cold fish specifically gets mentioned as allowed. Packaged snacks like cereal bars, crackers, and chips in original sealed packaging clear security without issues. But fresh meat, fresh dairy, and anything that could carry agricultural contamination gets destroyed without discussion. And here's the one that blindsides people every single time. Number 3. Honey and all honey byproducts. Completely banned, not restricted, not permit required, strictly prohibited with no exceptions. Jamaica maintains disease-free status for various bee-related ailments that devastate hive populations in other countries. The economic value of protecting that status far exceeds any tourist's desire to bring in a jar of artisanal honey from their hometown farmer's market. That organic, raw honey you bought specifically as a gift. Confiscated. The honey-based skincare products in your toiletry bag. Potentially confiscated. Anything derived from bee production faces scrutiny that most travelers never anticipate. This isn't about quantity or intent. It's about protecting an entire agricultural sector from contamination that could cost the island millions. Number 4. Pets from anywhere except approved countries. This one shatters relocation plans and vacation dreams for thousands of travelers every year. Jamaica operates one of the most restrictive pet import policies in the entire Caribbean, and the rules changed in 2017 in ways most people still don't understand. Before 2017, only dogs and cats born in Great Britain or Ireland could enter Jamaica. The amended regulations expanded this to a Category 1 list of approved countries, but the restrictions remain severe. If your pet wasn't born in an approved country, it must have resided continuously in an approved country for at least 6 months before qualifying for entry. The following breeds are completely banned regardless of origin: Doggo Argentino, Fila Brasileiro, Japanese Tosa, Pit Bull Terrier, any hybrid dogs or cats crossed with wild species. If you're planning to relocate to Jamaica with pets, the process requires preliminary application forms, veterinary import permits, rabies vaccinations with specific timing requirements, FAVN titer tests, and coordination with the Veterinary Services Division that takes weeks to complete properly. And if you're thinking your emotional support animal will accompany you on vacation without this process, the answer is no. Service animals face the same import requirements as pets. Jamaica is not affiliated with any international pet travel schemes or pet passport programs. Birds, rabbits, ferrets, hamsters, reptiles, and any companion animal other than dogs or cats from approved countries not allowed under any circumstances. Number 5. Drones without proper authorization. Jamaica's Civil Aviation Authority regulations prohibit flying drones within 5 kilometers of any airport, helipad, or designated landing zone. That translates to massive restricted airspace surrounding Sangster International, Norman Manley International, Ian Fleming International in Oko Rios, and every smaller airport across the island. But here's where tourists get caught before they even leave the terminal. Customs officers at arrival checkpoints regularly inspect travelers carrying drone-sized bags and demand to see JCAA authorization before allowing the equipment into the country. Arriving without proper permits can result in immediate confiscation with no recourse. Your $1,000 drone sits in a customs warehouse while you spend your vacation unable to capture a single aerial shot, and the restricted zones overlap with exactly the locations tourists want to film. Central Kingston and Montego Bay operate under heavy flight restrictions due to airport proximity. Dunn's River Falls, one of the most photographed locations in Jamaica, prohibits drones without explicit authorization from both site managers and the JCAA obtained in advance. Recreational drone operators technically don't need permits for basic flying, but must follow strict operational rules. Maximum altitude of 400 feet. Maximum range of 500 meters from the operator. Visual line of sight maintained at all times. Daylight hours only. Clear of crowds and gatherings. Commercial drone operators conducting any photography or videography for business purposes need a permit before each individual flight. Not a blanket license. Specific authorization for each session, with applications submitted at least 3 working days in advance. Operations near airports, helipads, or restricted airspace require 14 working days prior notice. Enforcement has intensified dramatically. What might have been ignored 5 years ago now results in confiscation, fines, and potential criminal charges. Number 6. Liquids exceeding the 311 rule. This regulation hasn't changed, but it still catches more travelers than almost any other because people consistently underestimate how many items fall into the liquid category. One transparent plastic bag holding 1 quart or 1 liter total. Individual containers holding no more than 3.4 ounces or 100 milliliters each. That's it. No exceptions for how much you paid for that full-size sunscreen or how badly you need that specific shampoo. All liquids, aerosols, and gels must be declared at the security screening checkpoint. Anything exceeding 100 milliliters per container goes in checked baggage or gets confiscated. Baby formula and Medicaid-prescribed items qualify for exemptions, but you must declare them to the port security officer and provide proof of authenticity when required. The powder rule catches people off guard now too. Powdered substances over 12 ounces must be placed in checked luggage. This includes loose powder makeup, ground coffee, instant coffee, spices, and anything with granular consistency exceeding the weight limit. Number 7. Sharp objects extending far beyond obvious weapons. Jamaica's Civil Aviation Authority maintains comprehensive prohibited cabin item lists that reach into everyday tools and accessories. Travelers pack without thinking. Knives of any length cannot go in cabin baggage except rounded blade butter knives and plastic cutlery. Your small pocket knife, your multi-tool, even a basic kitchen knife for the rental villa you booked. Confiscated at security. Box cutters, utility knives, and razor blades, not enclosed in cartridges, face absolute prohibition. Scissors with metal-pointed tips get banned even if the blades measure under 2 inches. The list continues through items people genuinely don't expect. Axes and hatchets regardless of size. Ice picks. Meat cleavers. Any type of saw including battery-powered models. Screwdrivers except tiny eyeglass repair kits. Decorative swords, sword canes, and umbrella swords. Club-like items face identical restrictions. Baseball bats, cricket bats, golf clubs, hockey sticks, ski poles, lacrosse sticks, pool cues, hammers, wrenches, pliers, crowbars, brass knuckles, and martial arts weapons, including nunchucks. Tradespeople traveling with tools or athletes bringing sports equipment need to pack everything in checked luggage. The cabin rules get enforced strictly with no exceptions for professional need or personal inconvenience. Number 8. Fresh produce without government certificates. Fresh fruits and vegetables need phytosanitary certificates from the Ministry of Industry, Agriculture, and Fisheries before entering Jamaica. Live plants and seeds cannot come into the country without agricultural permits obtained prior to travel. You cannot decide at the airport to declare the orange in your bag and hope for leniency. The permit process happens before you travel or not at all. Coconut derivatives including coconut oil and soap require permits from the Coconut Industry Board, creating bureaucratic hurdles for items that seem completely harmless. And here's a specific restriction that catches travelers moving between Caribbean islands. Live or processed conch and lobster are strictly prohibited from import into Jamaica. The island protects its own marine resources and prevents introduction of diseases or invasive species. Fresh conch from the Bahamas or lobster from Turks and Caicos gets confiscated at customs, regardless of how carefully you packed it. Number 9. Duty-free violations that trigger full value taxation. Jamaica updated its duty-free allowances on April 1st of 2024. Personal and household items at airports qualify for duty-free treatment up to $1,000 if you're 18 years or older, doubled from the previous $500 limit. But here's the critical detail that catches people. If you exceed the limit, customs calculates duties on the full value of everything you're bringing, not just the amount over the threshold. Bringing $1,100 worth of items doesn't result in duties on $100. It triggers duties on the entire $1,100. This calculation method shocks travelers who assume charges would apply only to the excess amount. Alcohol allowances permit 2 litres total duty-free, but 0 litres of Jamaican rum qualify for duty-free status because Jamaica protects its rum industry by refusing tax breaks on locally produced spirits, even when visitors try to bring bottles back into the country. Tobacco limits for travelers 18 and older allow 200 cigarettes, or 50 cigars, or 230 grams of processed tobacco. Not a combination. One of those 3 options, cash or traveler's checks worth $10,000 or more, trigger mandatory declaration requirements. Failing to declare currency properly constitutes a breach of the Jamaican Customs Act, resulting in potential seizure of the money plus additional fines. Number 10. Electronics with dead batteries. Security directives implemented after July 2014 allow officers to require that passengers power on electronic devices at screening checkpoints. Devices that fail to turn on will not be permitted through security or onto aircraft. Your laptop, tablet, phone, camera, and any other battery-operated device must have enough charge to demonstrate functionality. Showing up with a dead phone or laptop that won't boot can prevent you from bringing those items past security entirely. The security measure emerged in response to specific terror threats involving concealed explosives in electronic devices. While it creates inconvenience for travelers who depleted their batteries during long journeys, the requirement became a permanent fixture of airport security worldwide. Charge your devices before approaching security. Officers won't make exceptions for dead batteries regardless of your explanation. Leave it behind or miss your flight. Here's what all of this means when you add it up. Jamaica is investing $152 million in fiscal year 2026 on airport infrastructure alone. Another $372 million committed through 2029. A completely new $460 million international airport planned for Little London in Westmoreland. Sangster International alone will see over $180 million in upgrades between 2026 and 2030, with a new terminal development forecasted to cost $750 million. Total spending approaches $1 billion, reshaping how people enter and exit this island. These aren't cosmetic updates or minor technology refreshers. Jamaica processed over 5 million passengers through Sangster International last year. Another 1.75 million through Manley. The island welcomed 2.3 million visitors, generating $2.4 billion in tourism revenue in just the first half of 2025. July 2025 marked the strongest July on record with nearly 287,000 stopover visitors, with projected growth pushing toward 3.36 million stopover arrivals and nearly 5 million total visitors in 2026. Jamaica cannot afford inefficient, outdated, or insecure airport operations. The biometric systems rolling out now will eventually feel seamless. One facial scan captured at check-in follows you through every subsequent interaction. E-gates replace traditional passport control stations. Facial recognition handles boarding verification while your passport stays in your bag. The entire journey from curb to aircraft becomes essentially contactless. But during this transition period, processing times show more variation than airport operators prefer. Congestion patterns depend heavily on flight schedules. Wait times can exceed 1 hour when multiple international flights arrive simultaneously. Peak tourist seasons from December through April create crowds that challenge even the most efficient systems. The 3-hour arrival window stopped being optional. It became the minimum buffer that prevents your vacation from starting with a missed flight. Jamaica in 2026 feels different from Jamaica even 2 years ago. More efficient in some ways, more strictly regulated in others, more technologically sophisticated across every interaction. The warmth of the people hasn't changed. The beauty of the beaches remains untouched. The richness of the culture continues to draw millions of visitors who leave transformed by the experience. But the airports are getting dramatically better at identifying who prepared properly and who assumed the rules didn't apply to them. Know these 10 restrictions before you pack. Embrace the biometric systems instead of fighting them. Give yourself the full 3-hour arrival window. Charge your electronics. Empty your pockets. Declare questionable items instead of hiding them. These small preparations create massive differences between smooth sailing and nightmare scenarios involving confiscations, delays, fines, and legal consequences that follow you home. Understand these changes, respect these rules, prepare accordingly. Your vacation starts the moment you land instead of hitting derailed at customs. These are the 10 things now banned at Jamaica's airports that tourists keep learning about the hard way. You now know what they don't. Travel smart. Arrive prepared. Experience Jamaica the way it's meant to be experienced.